News now, this from the Southside explosion trial, where the jury has begun deliberations on the fate of Mark Leonard to decide whether he is guilty of killing 2 people in the Richmond Hill blast. Call 6 investigator Rafael Sanchez is live in South Bend with the latest. Rafael?
Erica, good evening. All that matters now is what the jury in this case will decide. They did deliberate for a few minutes here in South Bend. They'll resume tomorrow morning for day 2 of deliberations. The prosecution team wants the jury to remember these faces. Take a look at this video. This is, of course, the faces of Dion and Jennifer Longworth, the couple that died in the Richmond Hill subdivision back in November of 2012. These are the images that the prosecution team wants the jury to keep in mind as they go over more than 80 pages of jury instructions. Dion, the electronics expert; Jennifer, the second-grade teacher from the Greenwood Public Schools. We spoke to her dad late this afternoon, and he says he's not going to wait for the verdict and also think about those people accused of the crime.
I'm sitting there thinking that our children are dead because irresponsible people take an irresponsible view of life, and it's all about them.
Don Buxton also showed us this special coin, Erica and Todd, that he's been carrying for the past 30 months in his pocket. He wanted to talk about that coin today, that coin that has a special prayer for him and his wife, Nancy. Take a listen.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
So you've carried that coin for the past 20 days or since?
Oh, I've carried that for 30 months. I've carried that coin for 30 months.
Because
it seemed like the right thing to do.
Now the Buxtons and the Longworths await for a verdict from this jury, and that, of course, will begin tomorrow morning when that jury returns here to the St. Joseph County Courthouse. We are live in South Bend. Rafael Sanchez, RTV 6.
And a lot of things, unfortunately, he can't change. But we do have team coverage in South Bend. So what do we know about the work ahead for the jury? We do know they'll look at 2 key counts very closely. Those key counts 52 and 53, murder for the deaths of Jennifer and Dion Longworth. RTV6's Derek Thomas joins us with that part of our story. Derek?
Todd, prosecutors must have guilty verdicts on the 2 murder charges. If they do not, they cannot get a sentence of life without the possibility of parole. Mark Leonard has been painted as the mastermind of this crime that devastated the Richmond Hill neighborhood and killed 34-year-old Dion Longworth and his 36-year-old wife, Jennifer. In his closing arguments, Deputy Prosecutor Mark Hollingsworth said every victim is a victim in this case because of that man, Mark Leonard. But in order to get the greatest sentence, life without parole, he must be found guilty of knowing murder. Simple felony murder is not good enough.
It's not surprising that the defense approach has been to attack that aspect of the case, as whether they should be found not guilty of knowing murder, whether in fact they should be found guilty of a lesser included for recklessness. And so I think it's been obvious from day one, and certainly we anticipated that would be the most contested issue in this entire case.
The high stakes on this count are not lost on defense attorney David Shercliffe. He told the jury, "You guys are going to decide Mark Leonard's life."
We don't think it is a murder. We don't think it's ever been a murder. We think that the whole deal is if they find they're guilty of insurance fraud, their whole intent was to burn the house. They were never intending to blow up the house. They were never intending for anybody to get hurt. That's clear from everybody's point of view.
The jury can find Leonard guilty of what is called a lesser included charge like reckless homicide if they do not find him guilty of knowing murder. With all the counts against him, he will still get a lengthy sentence, but prosecutors clearly want the life without parole sentence. Now, this jury has a big job ahead. They get to decide what justice looks like. Live in South Bend, Derek Thomas, RTV 6.